My honest review for Path of Exile 2. Let's take a little trip back in time first to 1985. Well, that's when the IROC Z28 looked a lot like, the Firebird Trans Am, 1985. Madonna, she's still not a virgin. Virgin my ass. 1985 we had great movies like Rocky, Teen Wolf, Breakfast Club, The Goonies, and Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox was a big winner then. And my all-time favorite, The Gauntlet. It was my first experience in 1985. Of course, it looked more like this when I played it. But PlayStation brought it back out with the Gauntlet Slayer Edition. And I bought it more for nostalgia reasons than because I liked dungeon crawler games. And so I enjoyed playing the little bit that I played of it, and when I was younger I played a lot. But as you can see, there's a lot of similarities to today's game. You have the warrior, threw the axe around. You had the Valkyrie, she threw a sword around, had a shield. You had the wizard, shot fire bolts out of his little wand. Then you had the elf, which was the archer, and he shot his bow and arrow at the enemies. And then there was this mysterious necromancer that you had to purchase, and of course I didn't purchase it, but I'm sure she brought back the dead, just like in Diablo and in Path of Exile. But as you can see, we're going to do a little gameplay here of Gauntlet first, just to kind of give you a little point of reference of where I'm coming from when I'm making this comparison and review, because I needed something to review against. As I'm not a big dungeon crawler game, I had to reflect back on the games that I have played that were dungeon crawler games, which would be Gauntlet all the way back to 1985. I mean, I was like 11 years old when I first started playing this game. The new version of Gauntlet, which is what you see here on screen being played now, and Diablo 4. I never played any of the Diablos, and I never played the original Path of Exile. So my experience with the games are very limited, but I'm not going to compare it in this review. I don't want to bring fun into the game at all, because fun is so, I don't know, it's everybody's fun is different, it's subjective. My fun isn't going to be your fun, isn't going to be the next guy's fun. So I'm not going to really talk about the fun level of a game, because I think somebody can have fun in a, cemetery and a morgue, they always say. But then other people need, to be on a roller coaster to have fun, going 900 mile an hour with their hair on fire. So everybody's fun is different. So what we're going to do is kind of do some reviewing on some things that are more analytical, because that's kind of how I think. I'm more of an analytical thinker. I like things to be black and white, yes or no kind of deals. As you can see in this game, the graphics aren't that bad. And this is Gauntlet for a PlayStation 4. I mean, the shadows on those enemies over there, look how they're individually shadowed. The shadows coming from the right direction where the light's coming from the fire pit. There's several enemies on screen. You're going to see the frames are smooth and silky. You still have this top-down version that's happening. And notice what's getting ready to happen. So you tripped a trigger that's going to alert the enemies, and what are they going to do? They're all just going to converge on your location. There's no AI intelligence going on here. It's, hey, let's funnel down to the enemy, which is you in this particular scenario. So the enemies say, let's funnel down onto the enemy. And then they all just kind of try to funnel down to bum rush you. Now, fast forward to 2024, and you have Path of Exile 2. Same type of characters, a warrior, a wizard, elves, and, necromancers. They're all the same. I mean, they're called something different in each one of them, but they do the same things. They come from the same. And that's not really a big issue, because, obviously you just can't infinitely create characters. I understand that. But if you look at just the way the game plays, it's almost identical to a game that was designed in 1985, Gauntlet. It's like not much of the chemistry's changed there. There's nothing new. And if there's nothing new, then there has to be something else that just makes you go, wow. Now in Diablo 4, I didn't have that feeling. I didn't have a feeling of wow or awe. And then when I started playing this one, same kind of thing. I felt some differences. There were some things that were a little better, I guess you would say, than what I felt in Diablo 4 and even playing Gauntlet. It's more expansive, I guess. The stories are more in depth, things like that. More variety to enemies, all those things that are going to come with the advancement of the technology over the years. What can and can't be allowed into a video game. But I can honestly sit here and say, watching this playback and doing this recording here, this review, I don't see a lot of wow in the graphics, like from Gauntlet to this. It's not like I'm going, oh my god, that's night and day. It's really not. Now, from 1985, it was a little more pixelated, a little more cartoonish, and so if I was, of course, I don't have any video from the actual arcade version of Gauntlet of 1985, but from the PlayStation 4 version of Gauntlet, which, like I said, has to now be 10 years old. I'd have to look it up to see exactly how old it is, but I'm guessing somewhere in that neighborhood. There's not been a lot of advancement here in the actual graphics, and I think a lot of that has to do with because it's a top-down game. It's a God view game, and so you have that top-down view. And when you have top-down view, you don't really have to become in depth with graphics. So let's talk about some of these things. I said the intangibles, the things that you can actually put a metric up against and compare them to other games that are currently out on the market. They don't have to be dungeon crawler games exactly, because the way I look at when I compare games is what's all out there for me to play, not just what is I'm comparing it to this game compared to Diablo 4 only, or whatever. I'm saying this game against any other game that I could possibly go out and purchase today. Does this have those type of graphics that I'm going, oh my god, this is incredible, this is the best thing since sliced bread? No, I don't see that. There's a few things in it that are ooh and ah kind of scenarios, but for overall appearance of the game, the fact that like right here on this particular part of the screen, I mean, you have such a narrow view of the graphical part. Everything else is kind of blocked out, and so you have this very narrow piece that you can actually even see that has any type of graphics on the screen. And then when you look at it, it's like, okay, not too bad, not it's not the greatest. There's not a lot of detail, I guess you would say. Like, I can't see that granular detail because I'm in God view and I'm only seeing the I'm 50 meters above the action that's going on. And so it's all understandable, but again, that kind of makes it go, yeah, I wouldn't give it any awards for being the best looking game out on the market. So, in my opinion, it's not got enough graphics going on for it that just makes me, giddy about it. It's okay. It does enough that it's pleasant to the eye, and there's enough going on with what you can see in the game, being the dungeon crawler type format, that you can actually just say, it's good enough. Performance. Oh my god, this was another one that just kind of kicked. I mean, I had to lower. Now let's do some but ifs and things like that. So I didn't get the game on PC because my buddies play it on PlayStation 5. And so I wanted to play with my buddies and kind of get that multiplayer experience out of it. And so I did play one on PlayStation 5. Now the PlayStation 5 supposedly, supposed to have enough power to run 4K, and there's 4K games and all these kind of things. Not this game. And I understand the game's in beta, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I think that's kind of a crock of shit really too. But I started the game out in 4K, and with no upsampling, just try to do original format 4K straight across, and then with no upsampling or downsampling going on, and I tried to stay away from where it drops drops resolution. I forget the name of what that's called, but I didn't want it to downsize the resolution based upon frames. I wanted to see if the PlayStation could actually play it in, 60 frames at 4K, and it couldn't. It struggled so bad. I mean, you could tell at times you were probably getting into single digit frames when any type of action started going on the screen. And then when buddies would jump in to where you added, 2 or 3 more other characters all doing their stuff that they're doing, plus the mobs get bigger, more enemies on the screen, more stuff going on the screen. It was horrible. So I wound up having to turn it all the way down to the 1080p and then add in the upsampling 50%, I think is what I upsampled it to, or downsampled it to. I can't remember what it was. And then I also had to do the dynamic resolution. That's what it was called, dynamic resolution. I had to do the dynamic resolution on the 1080p on top of that. So at times, I'm sure my resolutions were dropping down, 720 area to try to keep frames, and then my frames were still dumping, and you'll see that here in a little bit when you go in to the, especially like if there was a lot of enemies on screen, and because the way the game is designed, everything funnels down to one particular point, so you can have 15-20 different enemies on top of you at one particular point, and there's so much stuff going on, it just tanks your screen. And when you have that ability to where it is going to sample down your resolution to try to save frame rates, I mean, it can get down so muddy and just so blurry on your screen. And it's even worse, like I said, if you have buddies that you're playing with, that happens almost all the time. But I was noticing it was just happening in areas like the hubs, like the where the main community hub is, where everybody kind of logs into I guess the lobby is what it would be considered. And if you logged into that area and it was busy, like when the game first started, and everybody was wanting to play it, and everybody was in, free fall or fall free, whatever the hell name that first place was, encampment. And then when you got on the caravan and you were in that lobby area, I mean, you could just see the screen tearing going on, and the frames just tanking down. Like I said, it had to be subpar 30 because you could feel the stutter, and not only feel the stutter, you could see the stutter. So I know it had to be more than just a 30 frame drop from 60 to 30, because like I said, not only could you just feel it in your controller, but you could actually also just physically see the animations stutter across the screen, along with screen tearing on top of that. And so it was really one of those deals that, for me, performance, and like I said, I understand it's a beta, but man, when they're charging anywhere between $30 and $400 and something dollars for this game, that's I would want to make sure that it had it was running better. I didn't pay that for Diablo. I paid my $70, and for the most part, that game ran pretty smooth. There was instances here and there, like in any video game, but as far as overall, how the game played overall with me and my buddies playing it, I didn't really have a lot of issues playing it on the same PlayStation 5 that I played this game on. And so I know a lot of people are going to say, but it's in beta. Yeah, but people paid $400. Some people paid $400. Some people paid $300, $200, $100, all the way down to $30 for this game. So you can't say that if you're going to drop $400 on a game, and not only just say you drop $400 because you're ignorant, but let's say that's what the devs offered. They're saying that they feel that this game's worth $400 to somebody. It's worth $100 to somebody. It's worth $200 to somebody, $70 to somebody, whatever the different packages were. The lowest being 30. They're saying it's worth 30, and I'm telling you right now, no, it's not. It's not worth the 30. Now, here's the funny thing that kind of rubs me wrong about that whole thing. They say it's a free game, but it's not a free game, because anybody that's going to play this game, I would say if there was 1 million people that's going to play this game, 995,000 of them are going to play it early. And to play it early, you had to pay money. The other 5,000 people, 6 months, to a year down the line when the game fully releases, when then it's supposed to be free, the other 5,000 people that never played it today, this week, last week when it launched, they're the ones that gets the game free. Everybody else that's going to ever play this game forever is going to be the people who already paid $30, $60, $100, $200, $400 for the game. So it wasn't a free game, and I think that's kind of a crock of shit the way that they did that, by advertising that it's a free game. It's not a free game. You paid money to play it. I paid money to play it. My buddies paid money to play it. I see people running around with their hideouts and their all the stuff that come with the $400 deal. I know people bought into it, and so I just wonder how much of that is actually going to pay off in the long run, because from what I understand at this point, they give you 3 acts. Now, in 6 months to a year, somewhere down the line, they're going to give you 3 more acts and a couple more characters is what, from my understanding, you're going to get out of the deal, or maybe 2 or 3 more characters. I don't know how many exactly characters are come out with, but is that enough to justify dropping $400 on the game? Especially when it's gameplay loop. Oh my god, that's another thing with Diablo 4, is the thing that turned me off from Diablo 4 so bad. So in Diablo 4, I played 4 characters in total. 2 of them I took to level 50, and 2 of them I took up to about level 25 area. Okay, and what I found was that on each of those characters, at about level 20 to 25, I was essentially done with the game. I'd already unlocked all the skills at about level 20. I'd already gotten most of the stuff that I, thought I wanted, the way my character looked. I already knew what, my armor was going to look like, the one I chose and one I liked. And then from that point on, from the point that you unlocked all your skills to where you had no more special skills to slot into a button, square, X, Y, if you're playing like a controller or whatever, to where now you're just doing the same exact thing, your gameplay loop. What am I doing in this game? Well, I run through this little dungeon, kind of like what you're seeing here, and you run up to where there's a group of enemies, and you spam your buttons 4 or 5 times. You hope that it kills everything, and then if it doesn't, you get away for a little while, and you recoup everything, and then you go back in and you spam buttons again. And that was the gameplay loop. You didn't do anything else. That was it. There was nothing else for you to do in Diablo 4 but that. And it was over and over and over and over again. Now, in this game, yeah, same thing. There isn't anything different. You're doing the same exact thing, as you can see in the gameplay on the screen right now. You run into a group of whatever the enemies are. You spam some buttons, whatever the buttons those are, and then if it kills everything, hunky-dory, you move on to the next group. If it don't, you back out, you fire off again. You run back in. And the only thing that I thought was a little bit better in Path of Exile 2 than in Diablo 4 was the fact that they slowed they gave you more of the skills, I guess is what they're going to call them. I don't know what they're calling them, but so all of your little attacks that you get, whereas in Diablo you had maybe 7-ish. I don't remember. I have to go back and look at it, but it was somewhere in that neighborhood of about 7 or so different attacks that you could possibly do on the buttons. And here you have almost 20, I guess 20 in about each one of the characters. So it takes a lot longer for you to unlock all of those, as even I'm not unlocked. I think I'm at level 23, 28 or something like that now. I can't remember exactly what my level is on my character, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. And so, and I don't have all of them unlocked yet, but I'm already getting to the point, and really not getting, I've already gotten to the point where I find it hard to want to just turn the game on and play it. Because it feels like it's a chore now. I feel like, I hate games that make me feel that way. I want a game that is got enough variety in the gameplay that you don't feel like you're doing the same exact thing over and over and over again, just because. So like in this particular part here where you see where we switched into on the screen here, that was kind of some old gameplay that I had made before, video before, just to kind of give me time to talk here. But this is actually today. I recorded this just before I started doing this, and to kind of show off some things that we're talking about. As you can see here, the screen tear, and there's not that many people in this lobby right now. There's not that many people in the community area, but you can see the screen tear, and you can see the frames dropping on my screen here. Now again, like I said, I understand I'm playing on the PlayStation 5, and PC people are going to be watching this video going, well, my PC don't do that. Granted, I understand the concept that on a PC there's a much bigger spread between entry-level PCs and God-level PCs. I understand that. And people with God-level 8 PCs aren't going to experience this type of stuff. Completely understand it. But not everybody has God-level PCs. And the majority of people have entry-level to mid-level PCs. And I promise you, they're going to be comparable to what the PlayStation 5 is doing for the way they have the PlayStation 5 set up. So you're going to see frame rate drops. You're going to see, resolution problems. All these things that you're gonna see in the PlayStation 5 version, you're going to also see in a computer version, for the most part, because like I said, most people aren't rocking the top end $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 PC to play a video game on. But I'm going to show off here what I mean about the gameplay loop. So this is me in my levels of today, and as you can see, all the enemies they just all converge on you. No matter what it is, they're always just going to converge on you. There's no intelligence to them at all. It's see enemy, go to enemy, And then some of them are slow, like you see these big skeletons are slow, and you can just kind of pick them off, and some of them are kind of fast, like this next part that comes up here. You're going to see how many enemies are on the screen, and it reminded me of the Gauntlet that we played earlier, how there were so many of those zombies in that one room, and they all just kind of converged. Watch the same exact thing take place. 10 years down the road, we're talking about these games. Look at all of them. They're just all converging to one area. You can't even tell who's hitting you at that point. And then you just fire off 5 or 6, push your buttons, spam your buttons, and boom, there you go. You killed everything. Just like that. All right? How is that fun? How does anybody... And again, I wanted to leave that word out of the damn review because... But it feels like a chore now. So now we're just going to go back to some more B-roll. I just really wanted to show that aspect of how that many enemies on the screen at one time all just converged to try to attack me. And that's the gameplay loop. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the game, except for like a boss fight. And the boss fight, to me, is a hybrid boss fight of kind of like a Monster Hunter or Wuzhong, that monkey game that come out, where once you learn, each boss has its own like thing it does. I guess you would say it's its own. It's gonna fire, move left, shoot a arrow, and then it's got an ABCD pattern. And as soon as you can figure out what that ABCD pattern is, then it's so they're not really tough enemies. I can't say any of them are like, oh my god, this is so tough. They're just puzzles. And once you figure the puzzle out, they're easy to kill. And that's really what I think makes the difference in somebody being able to just be really good, quote and unquote good at the game, is that person able to figure out the puzzle faster than somebody else. And if you can figure that puzzle out of how to beat that enemy, then that enemy becomes relatively easy because he never hits you. You never take damage because you know when to dodge, you know when to roll, you know when to do this because of the little telltales that they do before they attack you. And so as long as you can figure that stuff out relatively quick, beating bosses in this game is really not hard. I had a friend that was having trouble with getting through the trials part of this, Ascension. Said he had done it 20-something times, and he was screaming and hollering, talking about how he, don't want to play the game no more, and they shouldn't make it this hard. And even after the nerf, they're supposed to have nerfed it down, and it's still hard, and he still can't get through it. And even my other buddy said he had to run through it a couple times with a buddy to get through it. I made it through on the first time. Now, I'm not saying I'm a god player, because I'm by no means a god player, but I do figure things out relatively quick. And so back to that analytical thinking kind of personality that I am. And so made it through on the first run, and my buddy's watching me on a share play as I'm doing it, and he's like, I can't fucking believe that you're doing this on the first run. I've done it 23 times and I can't get past it. And I literally may have taken and my buddy's probably gonna respond to this. I bet I took less than half, because I was down to about 3/4, maybe in between half and 3/4 of the health that you can't lose, and I wound up getting like 90% of that back through one of the rooms that I went in. So when I went into the boss, I was about 80% health left when I went into the boss fight. And like I said, I figured the boss out relatively quick. Never seen the boss before. I don't watch any videos on the game. I hate doing that. You guys have heard me in my videos before. I do not do that. And so my build is my build. I've never watched a video on how to build my character. I'm sure it's not built right. I'm sure it's not the most potent, and it's definitely not meta. But that's who I am. That's how I play the game. I want everything to be a virgin experience. I want it to be my decision, not watch somebody else play it, watch somebody else figure out the meta, and then all I gotta go do is just copy and paste what they did. I don't like playing like that. I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. Hunky-dory, back to you. But that's not my cup of tea. So I like to figure things out on my own. And he was just throwing a fit, my buddy, about how I got through it, first try, no problem. He started playing it, and luckily, finally, he got through it. So all's good there, but neither here nor there. The game just doesn't feel good enough to me for me to keep wanting to play it for any kind of long period of time. I can see myself casually continuing this game. I even done in my videos, they didn't get much views, and maybe that's just because either I'm not giving the right information out, maybe people wanted to be more informed in the game, and I was a complete virgin to the game, so I really couldn't do that type of video of how-to videos. It was more of just a, hey, let's play a first experience kind of game. And I really couldn't give you a how-to build a meta build or do this or do that. And didn't really care to do that either. So that again, really not my style of video. I want more of the organic, come on a journey with me kind of thing. Not of me telling you this is how you should play the game, because this is how I play the game. I don't like that kind of videos. I don't want to be that kind of video. I don't mind helping people if I know something that they don't know. That wouldn't bother me one bit if somebody said, hey, you've been playing the game for X amount of years. What would you do in this situation? That's a whole different story. But for me just to stay up and proclaim my godliness of the game, I'm not that kind of person. So, but what I am going to do is put a review on this game based upon my experience playing it. Again, you may love the game. I understand there's, hundreds of thousands of people that are playing the game that are going to love it. But for me, it is at best going to be like set up like this. Graphically, I'm going to give it 6.5 to 7. I'm bordering in between there. And this is out of 10. 6.5 to 7, because I think it does enough graphically that it doesn't take away from the game, but it also doesn't do enough graphically that made me go wow in any particular scenario. The cutscene when you first started playing the game was really done well. The cinematic trailer, that was pretty awesome, but that really had nothing to do with the game. Okay, that was just, everybody has great looking cinematics. So as far as just the gameplay goes, and because you're not seeing any vistas, you're constantly just looking straight down on these floors or these caverns, and you're not really getting to see any graphical allness. Now, particle effects, different story. I'll give that 8, 9 because it has some pretty cool looking particle effects. I got to give that. Performance wise, I'm gonna have to give it about a 3.5 to 4 on a performance. It's if you play by yourself, and like in this area that you see on the screen, you're just kind of running around by yourself, not doing a lot, not a lot of enemies on the screen. You get your good resolutions. Again, this is 1080p because I had to turn it down, but you get your resolution that you've chosen, and you get, I would say at least a 60 FPS. But as soon as any kind of shit starts hitting the ceiling, you drop it. You start downsizing, and you feel it. You feel the drop in the frame rate. You see the drop in the resolution. It's just, it's just one of those things that shouldn't be in a game that they're going to charge up to $400 for. You just should not have that experience. So graphically, like I said, 3.5 to 4 at best. I'm sorry, performance wise, 3.5 to 4 at best. Graphically, I'm gonna put that up to about 7, 6.5 to 7. And then as far as overall gameplay, like the gameplay loop, I found it being very Diablo 4-ish. Like I said, I'm in the level 20 something, 25 to 28 area, and I'm already getting to the point where I feel like it's just mundane over and over and over, the same thing, and it feels like a chore now. It feels like a job. I don't like playing games like that. I've stopped playing a lot of games like that because they turn into games like that. And so there's not a lot other to do than to run to a pack of enemies, spam a bunch of buttons, kill them off, rinse and repeat, and that becomes the entirety to the game. And I do not like that. I don't like having that aspect to where that's all you are doing. So with the fact that the graphics aren't that great, as far as, I'm not gonna say they're horrible, but they're not cutting edge. There's nothing in there that wowed me. It was all, like I said, pleasant to look at, pleasant to see, but nothing that wowed me. Performance needs a lot of help, and I'm sure that by the time they release it, the full game, they may do some patchwork so that they can increase the performance, the frame rates, maintain frame rates a little better, things like that. Hopefully they're working on that, and that helps. But as of right now, there are so many different areas where the performance is horrible. Gameplay loop, like I said, I don't think they're ever going to be able to fix that, because I think it's just the nature of this type of game that once you get that build that you like, once you get the armor that you like, now it's just you're really doing the same exact thing over and over again, and I don't like that. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example of a game that I do play a lot and I do like, and you guys have seen my videos on, is 7 Days to Die. Now, 7 Days to Die is one of those kind of games that you can do pretty much whatever you want to do in the game. There's always boundaries. I'm not saying it's infinitely whatever, but within the boundaries of the multitude of different things you can do, you get to pick and choose. Every day that you turn on that game, you get to pick and choose what you want or what you don't want to do. One day you just I want to spend the day cutting trees down because I want to build something later. I want to build on my base. I want to build a new base. I want to build a tower, whatever. And so you can literally just spend the entire day, if that's what you want to do, cutting trees down. Okay? You don't have to do anything else. Cut trees down. Maybe the next day it's coming horde night, and so a couple of days. So I need to go build some ammo. So I'm gonna spend today mining coal and nitrate so that I can spend the nighttime tonight making the ammo. So that in a couple of days I got enough ammo to fight off the horde. maybe the next day you wake up and you think, well, you know what, I want to go do some looting today. You know, I hadn't got anything new in a while because I've been cutting trees down and I've been mining, and so you go and just randomly go to a town and start hunting through buildings, you know, and fighting the enemies in there and finding this loot and the new stuff that's in there. Maybe go to some new POIs that you'd never been to before. All those things you can do, and then you get back and you can build stuff. You can cook stuff. You can you know, make cars, and there's so many things you can do each and every day. You almost never do the same thing twice, or you don't have to. Not the same in a game like this. In a game like this, you're going to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. If you wanted to build a base, tough shit, you can't do it. Well, what about farming vegetables and stuff? Nope, no farming in this game. What about, well, can I mine anything? Nope, no mining. You can break open some shit to get some other shit that you already have. It's just whether it's a better version of it or not. And then you're just going to fight a bunch of mobs all the time that just kind of funnel down to your location, and you'll spam 5 or 6 buttons, and then they'll all die and they'll drop some shit. And then you go to the next mob and you do the same exact thing. That's it. That's all you do. Go to new locations and see that's kind of the neatest part about the whole game, is just seeing the new biomes and the new dungeons, you know, and how they're laid out. But as far as the gameplay loop, sucks. It's just like Diablo. I was bored with it by level 20 in both of them. Really just to the point where I didn't want to turn it back on and play it again. Now, like I said, I haven't fleshed out my characters on this one yet, to where I've unlocked all of their abilities, and I would like to at least see all of their abilities. So I probably will continue playing it at a casual level just to unlock those other abilities so I can say that I've done it and see it. But as far as putting any kind of more money or time into this game, that's a negative. So that's kind of where we're at on that whole scenario. So like I said, what I want to do is give it an honest review compared to other games that are on the market. Other games that allow you to do more things, other games that look just as good, play just as good. Like I said, Diablo looks just as good, plays just as good. The gameplay loop in this one's a little slower, so it makes it feel like you're not getting to that repetitive nonsense as fast as you got there in Diablo. But as far as the overall feel of the game, it's so much identical that it was almost like you bought the same game. So unpacking the actual review, this is what the actual review is going to be. We're going to give it a 3 on performance. We're going to give it a 7 on graphics. And we're going to give it about a 4 on playability, gameplay loop. Overall, I would say it's a good, solid 5 game. Your Old Fella Gaming's review and it's my first review. So if you don't like it, let me know, and I won't do them again. But if you do like it and you want to see some more reviews, I will definitely make that happen for you. Well, this was Old Fella Gaming. This is your Old Fella GT, and this was my review on Path of Exile 2. I hope you enjoyed the video, but until next time, I'm saying see ya.